Hi there, welcome back. So today let's talk about work. When I say that to people face to face, I get one of two responses. They either roll their eyes and groan, or they perk up with excitement and want to tell me all about what they do. Let's face it, there are people who absolutely love their jobs, and then there are those who just show up to collect the paycheck. Having passion for your job is different from being engaged at work, but both have a significant impact on your team and your organization, as well as on your overall well-being. So let's start with a few stats. According to 2016 polls, 24% of the workforce is actively disengaged. That means that 1 out of 4 employees cares little about the company, the work that they do, or the customers that they serve. In addition to that, 88% of employees have zero passion for their work. And 47%, almost half of the workforce, would leave their current role for their ideal job, even if it meant taking a pay cut. And how many of those people are in customer-facing roles? Here are a few more stats. Companies with engaged employees see 233% greater customer loyalty and a 26% greater annual increase in revenue. So if you're in a leadership role with fiduciary responsibilities to the stockholders, these are meaningful numbers. But if you're one of the 88% of employees who are dispassionate about what you do, that all-you-can-eat cereal bar in the break room isn't going to make much of a difference. Turns out that the solution to more engaged employees is much easier than those complicated incentive programs, and it really costs nothing to implement. Neuroscience actually gives us a real understanding of how and why people feel engaged at work. It's a complicated dance between our brain's reward and threat systems. Here's how it works. When the brain is engaged in an activity that is stimulating and challenging, dopamine is released into the prefrontal cortex. That's this part right here. And when we are recognized for that work, the brain releases a chaser of serotonin. Together, those two chemicals generate a number of reactions that not only make us feel great, but also make our brain operate more efficiently. Remember, the prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that does all the heavy lifting. It's the part that handles planning and organization and problem solving and creativity. A simple note from your boss or a colleague saying, "Hey, way to go," or "Thanks for your help on that project," will generate a boost of these good chemicals and keep the thinking part of your brain in charge. Another big chemical that impacts our level of engagement is oxytocin. And oxytocin is activated when we experience trust or the feeling that we're part of a tribe. Our brains make the determination of trustworthiness of a person within milliseconds. The brain simultaneously evaluates physical appearance and gestures and voice, tone, the content of spoken communication, body language, a host of other factors. The key here is that you can't fake trust. Our brains can tell the difference. And when people believe that their coworkers or their managers are trustworthy and that they feel like they're trusted members of the team, oxytocin will flood the prefrontal cortex, and that is the perfect time to dig into a challenging task. Okay, that's the good news. Here's the bad news. In order to survive, the human brain is pretty tuned in to anything that we perceive as a threat. And when our brain detects a threat, cortisol is released, and that triggers fight, flight, or freeze response. When cortisol is flowing, the brain channels energy to our muscles and various parts of our body to prepare for that threat. But the other thing it does is it puts our prefrontal cortex on pause. In addition, when cortisol is flowing, it actively shuts down the production of those good chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. The brain sees work-related stress as a threat. In fact, recent brain imaging studies show that when we perceive an attack to our status at work, the brain looks very similar to subjects who are actually in physical pain. Who knew there was so much neuroscience behind employee engagement? Turns out, challenging work with a trusted team and an attaboy once in a while will create a nice cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. And those are the ingredients that you will find in the brains of the most engaged employees. Want to learn more about how the brain works and how you can make it work better for you? Check out my book, Happier with Einstein. And remember, life is always better when you share the good stuff.